comes with the world's most amazing light show. There's a lot of things that the JBL are actually scamming out there at the moment with the speakers. The whole world said, ow! And I said, what? And they said,
JBL Xtreme 5, get on with it.
I said, I know what you mean. I'm just a bit slow. I'm a bit slow, but I get there in the end.
That's what she
JBL
said.
Xtreme 5. Of course, it's the follow-up to the ever popular, but always probably the most overpriced speaker in the JBL range, the JBL Xtreme 4. When we first got the JBL Xtreme 4, we said, oh, what's that on its bottom? We found out that's the replaceable battery. We've still got the replaceable battery. Of course, JBL are going big on upselling extra batteries. Now, it makes a lot of sense in their party line, where you can actually, when you get 2 slots and you can hot swap these batteries. But I'm not sure about these. Oh, I just broke my pen. Why'd you do that? Because I don't know what I'm doing. Hang on a sec, I'm gonna get a screwdriver. It was on the table all the time. And by the way, before I've got it turned on, we've got this is new. We didn't get that on the JBL Xtreme 4. Look, you turn on the JBL Xtreme 4, boom, boom, nothing happens. There's no blinking lights.
Oh no.
Well, there's a power light, volume light, but apart from that, you can't have a speaker and call it Xtreme when it hasn't even got LEDs. Well, they've gone overboard. It's the Xtreme 5. And it's going to be extreme. They're going to have lights everywhere. Oh, hang on a second. That'll be the JBL Xtreme 6. We've got probably the most pathetic, and I mean most pathetic lights you have ever seen. Yes, they can double as the charging light and stuff and power. However, it's a little LED strip there, and there's a little LED strip there. Now, some people are saying, why did they even bother? But on JBL's marketing team, they said, we can now say, comes with the world's most amazing light show. So yes, you've now got lights, and yes, they couldn't be more pathetic if they tried. But I wanted to show you the replaceable battery. Of course, it's on the bottom. It's the JBL 400. They do a 200 to 400. Can you get your thing out? Huh? I normally got no problem getting my thing out, but there you go. I'm getting my thing out. That's the 400. It's another thing. So they don't know what to put in what. Obviously, the JBL boombox, by the way, if you're thinking, oh, it's getting bigger and bigger, because it is getting bigger. It's a little bit bigger, and I'm going to get onto that in detail, than the JBL Xtreme 4. So you're thinking, well, bloody hell, it's almost a boombox. No, as you can see, still not the JBL boombox, but certainly, well, can talk about that. Well, I'll talk about it now then. JBL Challenge 6, JBL Xtreme 5, you can see as it's getting bigger, there's room now for one in the, there's room now for one in the middle. Because it's going from like very hand-holdable to not hand-holdable at all. The flip, before the flip now, you get the grip. So they are, maybe that's to be next, but I think it's screaming out for something between the JBL Challenge 6 and the JBL Xtreme 5. So yes, you do get the replaceable battery. It's good if you've got battery problems anyway, but in terms of, is it going to keep you going when you're gone flat? Well, I'm not sure. You're going to want to pay about 80 quid for one of these batteries. My point was going to be, they could easily have put the 600 in there for the 99 watt hours that it gives you. I'm just going to screw it back in before I forget.
That's what she said.
Cut this out in the edit. It'll be like magic. All my videos are so well planned before I sit down. And the minute I sit down, all plans go out the window. That's how you have fun. Yeah, so here we go. The JBL Xtreme 5, let's turn it back on so you can hear the startup sound. What has changed? Well, I said it's a little bit bigger, but also, I don't know. I think you can still get this for 240 quid, $343 when I last checked. It's about a few days ago. 300 quid, $400. That's a lot of dosh, but people do pay these sort of money, especially when it's about the logo. It's been a long time now since that logo. We had a little bit of that, it was a bit bigger, but a long time now since the all singing, all dancing JBL logo. And that's a little bit bigger. We want splash. If you're going to market yourself as just a big logo or just better late than never, I don't know, but just get a bigger logo. Just cut to the chase, JBL. Fill out the whole of the front. I know you love your figures for the power. You know, I don't think anyone would complain if they just said 2 million watts. And I guarantee you people will not question it and they will say, you see, that's why we buy JBL. But no, as far as they are saying, it was 100 watts AC, 70 watts DC, 130 watts AC, 90 watts DC. So AC, alternating current. That's what you get out your wall socket. However, of course, just like the JBL Xtreme 4, it hasn't got a socket for the wall outlet. It's got a USB-C. So I don't know why they're still quoting AC, because it's however you do it, it's DC. But it's their way of saying, if you plug a wall charger in, it will go to 130 watts. Get to that in a minute. Technically, they may be correct. I've got no idea, and I'll tell you why I can't check that. But just know, there's no such thing as AC. But when do these companies really care about their specs? They don't. It's written by marketing people who probably don't even know what is, let alone RMS and all that stuff. Yeah, so what's changed? Well, we said it's bigger. You can see it's bigger. But also, we had woofer, tweeter, tweeter. Now we've got tweeter, tweeter, woofer, really, really fast racetrack driver. Pluses and minuses, of course, and everyone's going to be arguing about it. You'll probably come straight in because I know all the intermodulation fans will come in and say, it's intermodulation now, intermodulation, 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 it's intermodulation now, intermodulation. Two woofers, comb filtering is going to be a comb filtering fest. If your ears can really hear, I don't know. But we're not talking about hi-fi. Very different with portable speakers. But anyway, technically, that would be an issue. Obviously, no filtering, comb filtering, because you haven't got two speakers close together putting out almost the same signal. But we had two 70mm woofers, two 20mm tweeters, passive radiators on the sides. We've now got one 98mm. You'll have to do the conversions yourself. 98mm by 145mm. Very, very fast racetrack driver, two 20mm tweeters, which means we've gone from 7,700 millimeters squared of surface area to 11,200 millimeters squared surface area, which is the equivalent. If it was two woofers, there'd be about two 85mm woofers. So in easy to think terms, we've gone from 70mm woofers to 85mm woofers. More surface area for the same excursion, obviously more output, but I don't know what the excursion is, or AKA X-Mass. The point being, one larger woofer than two smaller woofers, even if they were equivalent, is doing less work, all other things being equal. So you're reckoning to get less distortion, but you're losing your stereo. You're mixing stereo tweeters, but you're losing the stereo from the mids, basically, and into the upper bass by having the one woofer. And the difference is you will lose some where you're down mixing that, the stereo left and right, and they weren't equal because it's left and right and there's some panning going on and there's some widening and filters and stuff. They'll cancel out. So you tend to lose. Just remember, after they've down mixed it, they remix it to make up for the down mixing. So altogether, there's more processing going on than the woofer. But they know you're a JBL supporter, and all you're going to worry about is your bass output. So that's your best way to get more bass output with the least distortion. Go for the single woofer. But of course, depending on what your kind of music you listen to, that may or may not be a good thing. You will lose stereo. For me personally, I just think stereo is more pleasant. And on these portables, comb filtering, quite honestly, is not a major issue. But anyway, in terms of those sizes, Xtreme 4 displaces 6.24 litres compared to 8.85 litres now, which might not sound a lot, but that's actually a 42% increase in size. So yes, for me, that's a significant increase in size, and that's why I'm saying it's now leaving room for, they need something now between the Charge 6 and the Xtreme 5, in my personal opinion. They don't ask me for my opinion, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, you might, as I was thinking, maybe it's getting on for the boombox boombox size. For instance, the boombox 3 would be 24.75 litres, so it's still nearly 300 times the size in terms of displacement than that. So yeah, it's not really anywhere near the boombox level yet. And I'm talking about it just for the boombox 3. The other one I know you're going to be talking about, the U-Boom X, which I know I'm going to get comments, I'm going to cover it now. The U-Boom X is a larger speaker because some people are saying it's almost the same size. It's 12.9 litres, which means it's 30% larger in displacement. And by the way, it's also 40% heavier, 4.1 kilos times 2.9 kilos. That's where it's 2 pounds. And look, we really need to cut on. Then we'll get all the specs at the end, because there's a lot of things that the JBL are actually scamming out there at the moment with the speakers. So I say watch to the end, but I know you're just impatient for your to hear it. You've probably skipped already, but let's go there now. But I gotta do it for the newbies. Cover the app. Well, it's just the basic boring app, but let's have a quick look. So it's going to be, you can control your lights now. And by the way, it screams and shouts, and it does handstands in the snow if you turn off the light theme. If I turn off the light theme, it says, please turn the lights back on. Well, I've turned them off for a reason. I don't need to be nagged. So yes, it's got a ridiculous nag, but just from this amazing light show, you can change it. Oh, look, trim, what's trim? I don't know, it's another color switch. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Don't know why they bothered, but they did. Yeah, so I've got this on custom. So there you go. JBL signature, of course, is going to be the default mode, and you go to chill. The presets are ridiculous. I'll show you that in a minute. The energetic, the vocal, of course, the custom. You can now, well, you could for a long time, reset it. You can't save them or anything like that. Why is it saying resume? I'm saying reset. There you go, reset. You've got your 9-band EQ. You can set your own custom EQ, and you've got the playtime boost, which I'm going to show you that in a minute. But remember, just know that's marketing, and I'm going to get on to all those specs at the end, because it's going to be a 2-hour video, because I think things need to be said. And that's basically it. That's your app. Done. Finished. Boring as hell. Stop. Obviously, if you want to set up groups and stuff, you'll do that via the app. Okay, that was the app. We've done that. So the other thing is frequency response. It's getting more and more meaningless a lot on these speakers with such heavy DSP going on and such heavy limiters. That it's not really transferring, certainly when you get to the near maximum volume. But anyway, we'll do the real world maximum volume test later on. But this was my measured frequency response.
JBL Xtreme 5, reasonably linear volume steps. What jumps out at me is we're not getting the limiting in the bass that we expect on JBL portable speakers. We've got bass all the way up to 100%, nothing like the Xtreme 4. Compared to the Xtreme 4, overall similar tuning outside of the increased bass that we get now on the Xtreme 5. It's not huge, but it becomes more significant once you reach about 70% and onwards, where the Xtreme 4 is limiting its bass, but the Xtreme 5 isn't. Its advantage about 275 Hertz and down for the Xtreme 5, but once you've hit that 80% limit, it's game over for the Xtreme 4 compared to the Xtreme 5. We seem to have a little bit of a dip, 2.5 kilohertz, that we don't get on the Xtreme 4. And then we get a bit of a kick around 13 kilohertz on the Xtreme 5 that we've got actually a little dip on the Xtreme 4. Overall, you can see it's on the bright side, reasonably linear mids, and then a boost in the mid and deeper bass. This surprised me. Ultimate headroom. If you go into the app, push to maximum the 125 Hertz slider, not only do you get a bass boost 300 Hertz and up all the way down into the deep bass, but you've got that at maximum volume as well. Where are those passives tuned? You can see the difference now on the Xtreme 5 to the Xtreme 4. The Xtreme 4 was around 55 Hertz. It's now around 50 Hertz. So about 5 Hertz deeper now in terms of the tuning on the Xtreme 5 on the passive radiators. Vocal mode, well, that'll pull down your bass and your extended highs. You're basically left with a mids push. Energy mode, well, the whole thing goes louder, but relatively, it's around the 200 Hertz upper bass that gets the biggest push. Chill mode, well, kind of the opposite of energy. It's just a reduction in the loudness, and the real change is it's pulling down the extended highs. Custom mode in default, that is signature mode. We've got a playtime boost. That will cut your bass from 200 Hertz and down, and give you a bit more volume in the mids and the highs.
All looking good on paper. Looks like at least we no longer have that ridiculous, like 70% and above bass limiting, which just means it becomes a screech fest after 70%. And quite honestly, the 70% is where you can still have a decent listen. I mean, in terms of it not annoying the neighbours, but having a party-like listen. So that was always the downside of the JBL Xtreme 4. Well, it was ridiculous. That's been fixed. That's good. Looks like good bass extension down towards the 40 Hertz. It's clearly brighter now, but hey, there's a suck out around the presence regions to counter that. That's pretty much it. I've already told you that in the thing. So yeah, get straight in. Bing, bish, bash, wallop. Moderate volumes, 40% comparison. Oh, by the way, because you're saying, well, what happens if you push the bass slider up? Well, I've actually done that. So we're doing it in signature mode and then the bass slider. Well, the bottom bass slider, which is 125 hertz on the JBL Xtreme 5, but the bottom slider was 64 hertz. So I'm pushing the 64 hertz because you just want a lovely deep bass, and if you want your upper bass, well, you're out of luck. So 64 hertz pushed plus 6, which is the maximum, and plus 6, 125 hertz. Go.
In terms of overall sound signature, actually not that different. The real difference is the X5 now is more V-shaped. We've got more bass, and we've got a bit more in the high end. The X5 is slightly more recessed upper mids, the X4 lower mids, and that's the main differences here. Max out your bass in the EQ. It's a significant boost all the way 300 hertz and down, and does not affect the tuning elsewhere. And on the Xtreme 4, the slider is slightly different. It's a 64 hertz slider, and basically your bass is increased 200 hertz and down. Overlaying all of that, you can see that there's an option there. If you slightly increase your highs in custom on the Xtreme 4, boosting the bass will get you well past where you would be in signature on the Xtreme 5. In terms of the overall sound signature, they are V-shaped, as you expect at these lower volumes, and the Xtreme 5 is more V-shaped than the Xtreme 4.
Well, it was a surprise to me. The difference, even on paper, it looked like there'd be a massive difference at these moderate lower volumes where you're well away from where the bass limits. The differences are noticeable, but it's not huge. It's not. If I have the Xtreme 4 and I'm being asked to spend £300, and those are the volumes I listen at, I probably wouldn't want to spend $300 because I can EQ it to sound like that. So basically, you've got, well, if it's signature mode, this is going to be, you got more bass extension, you got a bigger bass, but it's also got a suck out. It's not the presence, in the upper mids. This is stronger in the presence, but this has got a suck out, not major, but it is enough there to make it sound a bit darker, 2 to 3 kilohertz, which can make it sound a bit dull or muted, depending on what your tracks are doing, even though it's brighter at the high end. It went into the harmonics in the upper treble, certainly on the very bright side, if your tracks are hitting it. But depending on where your tracks are, this may sound clearer or that may sound clearer because they are a little bit different in the mids. But overall, if I'm only listening to that in signature, I can just push the bass a little bit and push the treble a little bit. You basically got the same thing, but that remains stereo, which I personally like. But then they'll say, well, you've got the problem of the cone filtering and nulls and peaks and all that stuff. But hey, for me at these volumes, that is look, signature for signature, I prefer the more V-shaped, which works at the low volumes, of the Xtreme 5. But you can EQ that to sound like that. If those are your volumes, it makes no sense to spend $300, $400 to then get that. But obviously you're playing at louder volumes. It's called the JBL Xtreme. I'll just check my notes so I didn't miss anything out there. So yeah, basically the difference is stereo versus mono. I think that sounds more pleasant. It means you've still got some of the widening effects going on that you're going to completely lose on the JBL Xtreme 5. You've got weaker lower mids. Let's see, there's a bit of difference there. Lower mids a bit weaker, upper mids a bit weaker, and stronger in the presence region again, which is why even though it's not got the upper treble of that one, it can come off sounding clearer because the crucial presence region is a bit stronger. Yeah, so basically overview. If you listen to that only in signature, you can EQ that sound basically the same while retaining your stereo. But if you just want maximum bass, it's got bass headroom that you will not get on the JBL Xtreme 4. You want proper, almost sort of neighbor annoying volumes, 66%. And they are well matched, actually. So 66% volume on both.
Can't hold it in this time, got no filter, I got no filter, 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 no filter, I got no Hey man, can I get a favor? Yeah, sure, hot, no
Again, the overall tuning is not that dissimilar, but you've got more bass now on the Xtreme 5 and aligned with a bit more at the high end. Overall, it's more V-shaped and it's going to be more crowd pleasing. It is a bit more recessed in the upper mids, but overall they are not massively different. Pushing the bass now gets you a big boost, 200 hertz and down, but it's not the 300 hertz and down we got before. And you're losing a bit now from the lower mids to compensate. Less headroom on the Xtreme 4, that's clear now. Pushing the 64 hertz slider. Before 200 hertz and down was the boost. Now 150 hertz and down is the boost. And you now lose significantly in the upper bass as well as the lower mids. So clear, more headroom, real headroom in the bass on the Xtreme 5, overlaying the original track. As you can see, pushing the bass now on the Xtreme 4 will not get you near the original track, whereas the Xtreme 5, even in signature mode, is holding its bass well, and you can boost it well past that. But it does have a boosted high end. It is a little bit on the bright side, and both the Xtreme 4 and the Xtreme 5 are dropping lower mids and upper bass to maintain the deeper bass.
It's a decent listen. And I would say at these volumes, in that size, what else is going to really outkick it? You'd have to go slightly larger, because I know you're going to say the U-Boom Mix. You'd have to go slightly larger, and by the way, the Boom 2 Plus for cheaper money. But for the size and for the money, it's hard to think of something that's going to have a better party. I was listening to some reggae on this, and I thought I was quite enjoying it. And then I was thinking, well, what else could I have that's going to for the same size? And I haven't really got anything. All the ones that I would then switch to would be maybe just slightly bigger, but they would be bigger. But hey, they're going to be cheaper. But then you've got the other issue of, well, something like the Boom 2, something the same size, a pair of those versus that. Well, how many VJs can you do? I'm just saying it's a bit more extreme now. Now it seems to offer something in that package. Yeah, you've got to pay for it. And quite honestly, for these sort of speakers now, I think in the old days that would have been like 400 quid. 300 quid, given the money that people are paying for some of those speakers, some of the little tiny ones like over 200 quid, it's a reasonable price. I can't really say. I think that was like 400 quid or something when I said that was over extreme. But for easily outperformed once you got the volumes because of the bass limiting. No longer bass limiting. But yeah, so big difference. Not much difference. Lower volumes. Once you hit the bass headroom, big difference. Well worth the upgrade if that's where your listening volumes are. Despite the pushed high end. At these volumes, it's not coming off as harsh because it's AI sound boost. Normally, I'm expecting it to be quite harsh. And they do dynamic EQ, smart EQ or something they call it. So there's loads of EQ going on now, the down mixing. But quite honestly, until we get over these volumes, and we'll get to that in a minute, at these volumes, still a decent listen. Still got the issue of slightly sucked out. It's a smiley. It's not a V shape really. It's a smiley shape. The mids are still present, but some bits are recessed to give probably deliberately a darker sound, more bass heavy sound. All right, go to the proper headroom. How extreme is the Xtreme 5 now in the real world? Properly pushed, balls to the wall, 100%. We already knew Xtreme 5 has got more real headroom in the bass, in the real world, on a real bass boosted track. It's not quite as much as we might have expected, but the extra volume is really coming from the high end
where it is significantly boosted. So it does go louder by some 3.5 decibels, 2 decibels in terms of max. But it's worth noting, overall, relative to the mids and highs, the Xtreme 4 is more on the bassy side. So 10% on the Xtreme 4 versus the mids and the highs. It's 13% on the Xtreme 4. And in terms of actual energy of the track, again, 3.9% to Xtreme 5, 4.8 to the Xtreme 4. But it will sound more sizzly on the Xtreme 5, but you will get more volume. In the real world, we're talking about 2.5 decibels more in terms of the bass on the Xtreme 5 now over the Xtreme 4. In terms of perception of sound, can push the bass as we know. Not as much headroom as we thought we would get looking at the frequency response, because in the real world, maxing it out, slamming the bass, it can't do it. It can't give you more headroom. It's having to drop the lower bass, the lower mids, the upper bass to give you some of that deeper bass. So in the real world, with a real track, limiters going, dynamic compression going, there is no extra headroom, whereas on a frequency response measurement, it would suggest there is, but the limiters won't let you have it. Even more dramatic for the Xtreme 4, when you push the bass, you lose more in the lower mids and upper bass. In fact, it's hardly any difference when you actually look at the total bass now. 1/3 of a decibel in it, overlaying everything. And as you can see, nothing really has changed. There is no real headroom when you max out the bass in the custom EQ. So it's louder. It's definitely louder. We already knew that was going to happen. But hey, it's a screech fest again, because they're so pushing the mids and the highs. So actually, relative to the mids and highs, it's a more bass heavy, less harsh, less ear-piercing sound on the Xtreme 4 compared to the Xtreme 5, because the mids and highs are pushed more than the bass. So probably outside or for a party, that's fine, and you've still got some bass. But it's weird to me, despite the bass limiting, because they've pushed because it's being allowed to push the mids and highs so much, it becomes a screech fest despite the bass. But hey, you've got the options. You've got the headroom. Yeah. So despite what I was saying before, the frequency response would suggest real headroom when you hit +6. But in the real world, with limiters going, dynamic compression going, there isn't the headroom. It will adjust the lower mids and the upper bass to give you that deeper bass. So the headroom isn't there in the real world. It will cost you elsewhere if you start pushing the bass in the app. At the end of the day, we're getting, depending where you are on the volume scale, something between 5 and 15 hertz more extension, which is very significant. Even the passive radiator showed you that. It's tuned 5 hertz deeper. So yeah, I mean, as far as the bass goes, it should have been there anyway to begin with. The Xtreme 4 should never have been released like that. That should have been the Xtreme 4. So we're where we should have been a few years ago. In actual output, it's about 3 to 5 decibels, which is like more than doubling the power. So yeah, they finally fixed it. But hey, all those people like me who spent money on the Xtreme 4, we've got scammed. Yeah, not going overboard. I'm saying this is now on a par, the sort of sound you will get from cheaper but larger options that are out there. If that's the form factor you want, then job done, it's worth the money, I would say. So let's go over the things we missed, because this is a big deal. I could not do it will go louder. We've seen that. It will go louder on, it's not really AC, on DC, but with the main socket plugged in, and then obviously filling up, I guess, decently large capacitors on that. The problem is, I didn't know this beforehand. Maybe this should be a short on its own, and I'll probably do that anyway. You should know, they're selling versions of the JBL Xtreme 5. By the way, obviously this is my GG, but I never said that. But this is because I missed out so much. There's 2 hours worth of talking at the beginning. I can't do that anymore, so we'll do it now. It's the GG version paper cones, I assume, which for me normally sound better to me. But they're selling, not only are they selling these different versions, I don't know what other versions, but look for the first 2 letters on the serial number. So we already know they will sound different depending on which version you hit. They're selling Xtreme 5s with and without power adapters. They don't tell you that. If you look in the small print, it will say without adapter. If you pick up, like I did, the wrong manual online, it will be the manual for the with adapter. So it will say
it will tell you what's in the package, and it will say one power delivery adapter. And mine didn't. I actually had to phone up support. Why isn't it? They said, well, you bought one that doesn't come with it. There are 2 manuals online, one with adapter, one without. And now I have to tell you that's crucial. I have to send that back to get a proper adapter. I've got several high power banks, 252 watts. We'll do 20 volts, 5 amps. Same again on my Anchor Prime. But several others. I've tried about 6 modern high power banks and chargers. I cannot get 80 watts out of that. I can only get 40 watts into that, which means when I play that at maximum volume, I couldn't get it to go any louder with it in. So clearly I need to get 80 watts in. Well, that's what they're speccing it at. They're saying you can get 20 volts, 4 amps. That's 80 watts. I can't do that anymore. So I need to try their power adapter, otherwise I can't get it to go any louder. So problem number 1, if you end up in the same position as me, do not make the mistake of getting it without the power adapter, because you're going to have a problem finding. Obviously, there's a problem with its handshaking on its USB-C socket. There's no reason why my power adapters, and that's half a dozen of them, so it's not the chargers of the power banks, 20 volts, 5 amps should do no problem, 20 volts, 4 amps. But they're not. They're coming down to, I'm not sure, well, it's giving me 40 watts, whether that's coming down to. So that's problem number 1. So make sure you get one with a proper socket. I assume that will give you your 80 watts. They're not giving you it in the headlines. They're doing it in the small print. If you look right at the bottom, what's in the box? And it will say it's not in the box. So I thought that was a bit of a scam. Well, it is a scam. Unless they put it in the headlines, note if you buy this speaker, it's coming without a power delivery socket, and you may not get the 80 watts, and it may not go any louder, which is what we're advertising. The other thing they advertise is you can use this as a power bank. They are speccing this at 11 volts, 2 amps. That's 22 watts. Now, I've got a USB-C tester, latest firmware. Where is it, Al? Yeah, good question. On the table, it's a second ago. I will, no, there, it's under there. I'll send it to you working before. It's only recognizing power delivery 10 watts. So I saw this on the Boombox 4. The handshaking is awful. So what they advertise and what you actually get, 2 different things. You tell me. What do you get using yours as a power bank? I can only get 10 watts. They advertise it as 22 watts. For me, I call scam because it's not recognized. Are different versions coming with different USB-C sockets that some you'll get the right watts in and out, on some you won't. I'm calling scam until I know differently. I asked support about that. That was a day ago, and they haven't come back to me. Yeah. So 2 scams already. Using it as a power bank and charging it, which becomes an issue because it goes louder. You get 130 watts versus whatever they said it was, versus 90 watts. What they call AC. Anyway, but yeah, just 40 watts boost. They don't say RMS, but anyway, 40 watts of something. So, scam. Just to let you know, yeah, obviously it's come out 2 years after the Extreme 4. Extreme 4, scam, because it limited bass to like 70%. Not very extreme at all. Fine. This is the Extreme 4 version 2, basically. That's what that should have been, but having already spent 300 quid, whatever it cost at the beginning. But hey, still 68 watt hours. Why is that, Al? Well, we already said, because they're going with the 3 batteries they have, which is the 200, the 400, and the... So this is a 68 watt hour battery, and the next one up would be the 99 watt hours. They top out at 99 watt hours because that's all you can take on a plane. There's no reason why we couldn't have a 99 watt hours. Just cut to the chase, JBL, and put a 99 watt hours instead of trying to differentiate between different lines. I know you're a commercial company, but at the end of the day, this is a social media issue. We all talk to each other. We know what you're doing. You now get AAC, which is obviously a better codec, you'd hope, on than SBC, but just know, if you're on Android, it can be an issue. It was Bluetooth 5.3, now Bluetooth 6. Hey, this, as far as I know, was the only line in the JBL lineup that had both support for Auracast and Party Boost. So you could still link up other speakers that were Party Boost. But now, all the others are just Auracast, and you can't link up any of your older Party Boost speakers. See, Auracast works pretty nicely, but hey, that's another scam, isn't it? showed that it can be done, that they can support both, but never did it again. Obviously, someone got fired, they made a mistake, and didn't give you enough of a reason to upgrade to the next one, or upgrade your older speakers because they could still connect. It was only AI sound boost. Or he said it made things harsh. I don't know. But hey, they're still claiming AI sound boost, which is just their DSP. We know that. But they're also at the same time now claiming smart EQ. So I guess they're differentiating between AI sound boost to reduce distortion and hit the limits in what it can actually do. But dynamic EQ to sound. I assume they were doing that all the time anyway. But they do like their marketing terms, their buzzwords. So yes, they're now saying smart EQ, which is something you cannot turn off if it's doing anything at all, but they are claiming it will change the EQ dynamically depending on what you are listening to. Spooky. Don't listen to what I'm listening to. Now got USB, so no auxiliary, no USB audio either, so you were stuck there, but no auxiliary, but you can play USB lossless audio over with the right cable. Oh, no cable in the box. No cable in the box. You have to go and buy a cable. So pulling features. Can't even use these for phone calls anymore. JBL, just pulling. But they're not pulling at it. Yeah, so we've got lights now. Woohoo! What has gone up is the Bluetooth transmission power was 12 decibels milliwatts. Now 15 decibels milliwatts. Technically, we'll charge at 80 watts, and it was 60 watts before, but I can't get more than 40 watts in. I'm calling scam. IP67, IP68, so you can drop in even more water and it's even more waterproof. You could drop that in water and it would float, but with the drivers down. Hey, it will now drop in water, or on my GT version, drop in water and it will play with the drivers up. So that's really good. That was, you could get away with watching movies and stuff, but the lip sync wasn't great. It's clearly noticeable. Not so much that it's a deal breaker, but it wasn't great on the lip sync. This is actually pretty good. There is a slight delay, but not enough to really annoy you. Obviously, the 7-band EQ, it used to be the 5-band EQ, and it's more of a low shelf. It's weird, isn't it? It was 5-band, but went down to 64 hertz. Hey, but it still pushed everything from 200 hertz down. They're now calling 125 hertz. Obviously double because there's another octave, and it's hitting everything from 300 hertz down. We got through one page. What time is it with you? Because I'm gonna have to book a room for the morning. Yeah, I took scans on that. Well, I didn't even use me graphs. I just skipped right through it. I mean, you didn't do that. Yeah, the problems of down mixing mono. I mean, not a problem. I mean, obviously there's huge benefits. Less distortion. You can fit larger woofer in. So yeah, you're going to go a bit louder and stuff. More bass. Obviously, it's worked, but but at the end of the day, equivalent of 85mm woofers. Anyway, I just personally like. I find proper stereo, without having to down mix and mix in the stereo and want it to be more pleasant. But that's just me. We talked about the weight. Well, I didn't talk about the weights between the two of them. By the way, I just threw it all away. Why did you do that, Al? Well, that was a bit stupid. Where did I throw it? Was 2.1 kilos. It's now significantly heavier at 2.9 kilos. So basically, it went from 2 kilos to 3 kilos. So, it's not a free lunch, is it? There's a reason why you're getting much more performance now. The larger a woofer, but they've having to put it in a larger box, if you like, and it's a lot heavier. Significant is that? I mean, that was, no, not quite. Probably a large hand could have picked that up, but you couldn't pick it up one-handed anymore. Yeah, I mean, not too bad, but it's still like 30% heavier. Oh, another scam. Scam number 3. The JBL Xtreme 4. Music playtime, up to 24 hours, dependent on volume level and audio content. The Boombox 4. Music playtime, up to 28 hours of playtime, plus 6 hours of playtime boost, dependent on volume level and audio content. Boombox 3. Music playtime, up to 24 hours, dependent on volume level and audio content. JBL Charge 6. Music playtime, up to 24 hours of playtime, plus 4 hours with playtime boost, dependent on volume and audio content. JBL Xtreme 5. Can you guess what they are claiming? Oh, yeah, found me out. Yes. Music playtime, up to 24 hours of playtime, plus 4 hours of playtime boost, dependent on volume, level, audio content, and ambient light themes. In other words, we're making shit up. If you don't tell us what volume level, with what audio content, and you haven't standardized your own testing, it's absolutely meaningless. Of course, if I had played that at 2% volume, I'll probably get the 24 hours. No, I haven't volume tested it, but I can tell you simply by looking at all the spec sheets for all the recent JBL speakers, they're claiming 24 hours for all of them, but not telling you, well, just putting in the disclaimer, dependent on volume level and audio content. Well, no shit, Batman. Of course it is. But obviously, they just want to have 24 hours in the spec sheet. And that's absolutely meaningless, and they're making it up because they're claiming the same thing for all their speakers. Don't tell me, coincidentally, all our speakers last, with the same testing, 24 hours. Don't believe that for a second. I think they're scamming you just to make you think you could somehow get 24 hours. But it's going to have to be very low volume with all features turned off, etc., etc. And then the playtime boost, of course, just cuts the bass with a bit more in the mids and the highs. You could do that with your own EQ. There's nothing amazing going on. Well, you said they're selling some with adapters, some without. That's caught me out, so you be warned. I know not many people will get this far in the video, but hey, that's a scam. You should be warned because you're going to have problems. I assume that's the reason I'm not getting 80 watts in and it's not going louder when I'm playing real-world tracks on this when it really needs the power. It's because I can't get, for whatever reason, the handshaking on the USB-C is obviously really poor. I need the power adapter that comes with it, so I'll have to return that and buy one with a power adapter to check that. Yeah, 10 watts. It literally only spec'd at 10 watts. And then even I'm doing it straight into other JBL speakers. You can't get more than 10 watts out of it, and they're claiming 22 watts. Bum, biddy, bum, 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 bum. So, yeah, overall, it's an upgrade, clearly. There's no argument about that. Seems a pretty decent speaker now. And I was playing bass heavy tracks, and I wasn't getting the distortion that I assume you may want to be complaining about. At least you're not going to claim. Well, I don't know how long until someone claims any issues that come up will be because it's not a three-way system. I'm sure someone will say that. But, yeah, it's a proper upgrade. You can go to louder volumes now and get a really decent listen. And I said I'm struggling to think of something that size that will go that low and be that satisfying in the bass at those volumes. My speaker is perfect. There's going to be trade-offs. Overall, I would say for a JBL Xtreme speaker, it's not an overly extreme price. It's not the greatest bargain either. You've also got to know it is on the bright side, but not as harsh as some of these JBLs these days can go. You can bring that down in the EQ. You can get cheaper speakers that will outperform this, like the likes of the original Tribit Stormbox Blast, the U-Boom X, the Soundcore Boom 2 Plus. They're going to outperform it at less money, but they're going to be bigger and heavier, and you can get something that's not bigger like the Brain X that's going to easily outperform it in terms of bass. It won't be the bright nature of the JBL Xtreme 5, but it's going to be a lot more money. I think if you take into account the rugged form factor, the Auracast, it can connect to other JBL and other branded Auracast speakers. Audio lossless via the USB-C socket, replaceable battery. Overall, as a package, I don't think it's too bad as long as you know the quirks, the ins and outs, and exactly how this sounds. The bass is enough to properly satisfy now, all the way up to maximum volume, if you can take the screech fest of a sound as it will become as you go past 50%, but you can EQ that out. But given the JBL Xtreme 4 was still selling like hotcakes, with all its limitations, well inferior to the JBL Xtreme 5, certainly in terms of its bass limiting, and people were still happy, still claiming it as the second coming, one of the great messiahs of Bluetooth speakers. On that basis, the JBL Xtreme 5 is almost one of life's greatest bargains of all time. They're making me think about the strap. It's a more substantial strap now. So it's still a bottle opener, which is handy. It is handy if you're having a proper party outside or you're on the beach. Still got that. It is more substantial now. Which about the Xtreme 5's ambient edge lighting moves with your music. They're making such a big deal of it, and it, honestly, it's so pathetic. You can't believe that they keep a straight face when they put this stuff out. Choose a soft glow for relaxing moments or a vibrant pulse for hangouts. I mean, they know what else is out there because we've got the side ones on the Boombox 4. So that's basically it. I didn't show you the differences on the top. Basically, you see it's exactly the same layout. Volume down, volume up, pause, play, multi-function. They've switched the Auracast. So Auracast there, power button there, Bluetooth there, and just a single exposed USB-C on the back. Well, there you go. JBL Xtreme 5 against the JBL Xtreme 4. We done it. As I said, there's now a ridiculous difference between the JBL Charge 6 and Xtreme 4. We need something in between. I mean, that's well hand holdable, and that's not hand holdable in a million blinking years. And obviously, we just want something that, I mean, I don't know if they've done that deliberately, and there's going to be something coming out, something with slip in there, right in the middle, perfectly.
That's what she said.
And then I don't know. I call these camouflage. They call these squad colours. In the old days, it would certainly be called camouflage. When we was on the beach with our camouflage, when it was in fashion. Like half-length shorts, trousers, whatever you want to call them, whatever. Yeah, so that's it. And it's even smaller. You see, there's a gap in the market. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again.
What the was that?
It comes from China.
My speaker's got deep bass, balanced mids, and a bright high.
Yes, mine sounds exactly the same.